Hello everyone, and welcome to the third and final part in my Dynamic Ship Simulator Iceberg series. If you haven't already, I would recommend you watch the two other parts. The way these videos work is I have gathered a bunch of information about DSS-3. The most well-known information will be at the tip of the iceberg, and the further down the iceberg I go, the more obscure the information gets. I will now start at the tip of the iceberg. The DSS-3 wiki is a place where you're able to find information on pretty much everything in DSS-3, however, it's notorious for being outdated and having information that is either incorrect or pointless. Found just outside of Santa Cruz, this 230-meter deep trench is the deepest place on the map and is home to things such as Jerry and the giant squid. From March 25th, 2017 to October 28th, 2017, DSS-3 was in its alpha stage and could be purchased for 50 Robux. From October 29th, 2017 to April 9th, 2018, DSS-3 was in its beta stage and could be purchased for 25 Robux. You earn 20 credits for every 0.1 nautical miles you travel. Found in the menu, this tutorial will teach you the basics of fishing. Titles can be obtained by completing certain objectives or by purchasing them. Found all across the map are ocean platforms. These platforms serve little purpose, with only one ever being used for something, housing one of the mantles of responsibility used in the Halo Easter egg. Morphs are able to be obtained by either completing a certain requirement or by purchasing them. By pressing B, you are able to pull up a small menu with different buttons. You are able to control different things on your ship by pressing these buttons. When the moon comes out at night, there is a slight chance it will be a high-resolution image of the moon instead of the normal low-quality moon. Wind of Fjords is a popular song that has been used in many Roblox games. In DSS-3, it is the song that plays when you first open up the game. When you sink an oil tanker, oil will spill out onto the water. Shipyards are places where you are able to rearm and repair your ship. That is everything that I have for the tip of the iceberg. I'm now going to move down to shallow waters. A long time ago, the compass looked like this instead of the compass we have today. Before update 39, the water had a foil texture instead of the texture that it has today. Foil water can still be seen in a few places, including on ship pools, fountains, and icons for ships released before update 39. On the north side of Woolen, these coastal artillery cannons can be found. Before update 37, fishing was done much differently than fishing done today. First, you'd have to go out to a fishing area and find a flag. Different flags meant different things. For example, the black flag was for fish and the red flag was for shrimp. You'd be able to load your boat with fish from one of the flags, and after you loaded, you could go to a fishing port to sell it. On the Skipjack class SSN, you can see a large Duracell battery that powers the sub. On April Fool's Day 2021, a Triple E with an Evergreen livery was placed inside of the Woolen Canal, mocking the Evergiven, which had become stuck in the Suez Canal a month prior. Located inside of a container on the Alabama wreck is a miniature model of the Amphion. On the outside of the container, you can also see the letters DNN, a reference to the Dynamic News Network, which was a news network in the Island Nations roleplay. A long time ago, the wooden hood stretched across the entire screen. In the Sea Clouds Bridge, you can see a map that displays an old map concept for DSS-3. Polish code refers to the fact that a large amount of the code is written in Polish. This has made it notoriously hard to fix and implement things into the game, since only one of the developers actually speaks Polish. Some of the code is also written in a mix of Polish and English. A popular example of this is that the script to fire guns is named Ognia Handler. A long time ago, ships were able to drift if they took sharp turns at high speeds. Drifting can still be done on a few vessels, including the Icebreaker and Sparviero. DSS-3 players that play on Xbox used to be rather popular multiple years ago. However, since DSS-3 on Xbox is no longer supported, the people who play on Xbox have become more and more rare to see. People that play on Xbox will have a special Xbox icon above their head. The sound you hear underwater in DSS3 is the same sound you hear while being underwater in CSGO. I was unable to find if this sound actually originates from CSGO, however it is definitely the most famous use of it. These ramps on the outside of Vohlynia are actually ramps that jet skis are meant to jump over. These ramps did at one point work, however you are now unable to use them. One interesting thing is that you don't take damage when you run into them, so some parts of the script do still work. A long time ago, the only way to run was by pressing this button at the top of your screen. Memory leak refers to an old meme, but also a real issue that happened in DSS3. The meme refers to an image of CaptainMarcin fallen over in a fish basket while saying the words memory leak. However, this photo was taken at the same time when DSS3 was actually experiencing a memory leak. In DSS3, there are multiple tiers of ships. Tier 1, 2, and 3 are the main ones. Generally speaking, the higher tier of ship you have, the better your ship is. Higher tier ships take less damage from ship collisions and weapons, have better fuel efficiency, and tier 3 ships don't take damage from ice sheets. Some ships have their tiers manually edited, however, to make them better for certain things, such as PvP or to make them have better fuel efficiency. A few boats are even in tier 0. Around 40 nautical miles out from the center of the map, the water disappears. If you keep going a little further, the ocean floor will also disappear. Although the water and ocean floor cannot be seen, they are still there. Clearance is a beloved bot in the Bad Yacht Discord server. Clearance can be used in the Discord server to do things in DSS3. Clearance can do things such as run scripts in DSS3 servers and help out with moderation. On a few different ships, you can find rooms that, although modeled, are inaccessible. Some examples of this are the Super Yacht Engine Room and Inkcat Storage Room. Pretty much every piece of changeable text has a placeholder. There are too many placeholders to go through them all, but some of the most famous ones are only 20 characters, the placeholder stats, and arrow 4. On the Concorde class frigate, you can find a newspaper that reads Public Occurrences. This newspaper is actually the first ever newspaper to be made in real life. The V2 explosion used to sound like this, but now it sounds like this. On the Ironside skin for the United States class super frigate, you are actually able to open and close these window covers. There are multiple controls that aren't stated in the Controls tab. These controls include pressing Y and G to open and close vehicle ramps, pressing Y to deploy hydrofoils on the Sparky arrow, and all of the drone controls. A while ago, buoys weren't tied down to the ocean floor and could be picked up and transported. This is where the phrase "save the buoys" originated from. TestoWave is a game used to test features and updates before they get released to the public. TestoWave has been open to the public before, however for a long time now the game has been limited to only moderators and above. Discord moderators were people who, instead of moderating for both DSS3 and the Bad Yacht Discord server, would only moderate for the Discord server. However, moderators now are expected to moderate both the Discord server and in DSS3. The sound used for hovercraft propellers is actually the sound of Jorbunga's desk fan. In the Foxtrot class SSK, you can find cards that display multiple islands in DSS3, as well as a card for Portsea Island. Portsea Island was an island that was planned for DSS3 but was never added. Located here on the east side of Vohlynia is a V3 cannon, a large caliber gun used by Germany in World War II. At the bunker on Tenerife, there is a big blue door that leads inside. However, this door can only be opened by moderators and above. At one of the staircases at the stern of the Edmund Fitzgerald, you can find this picture. The Port 2 spawn icon in the menu is actually a picture of Port 2 in DSS2, not DSS3. This Sage radar tower on Bornholm has been given the nickname Sparky. When the Perseus quest was still around, if you were at Sparky and you looked at Red Sand Radio while the V2 was launching, you would receive a Morse code signal. Nowadays, this tower doesn't really serve any purpose. However, one of the mantles of responsibility can be found on it. On the Permit class SSN's periscope, you can vaguely read the words "buy credits." Before the mini update in May 2021, clouds looked like this. At Port Foster, there is a very small chance you can hear a penguin say, which is a reference to Pingu. With all of that out of the way, that concludes the shallow water section. I'm now going to move into the depths. Before the Sparky radar tower we have today was added, there was this radar tower. This was a low quality radar tower that during the Island Nations roleplay was hit by a missile, which damaged the radar and caused it to fall onto the ground. The photo on screen now displays the tower before it was hit by the missile. The planned way to obtain the Fitzgerald-class Laker was actually a quest that would require you to lay a memorial plaque on the James L. Callaghan. Obviously, this quest was never added. When torpedoes were originally being tested, torpedoes were strapped to a Wildcat helicopter and could be dropped into the water. Sir Taco was the person who actually ran the previously mentioned dynamic news network, and he would run it from his houseboat. One day, without warning, he randomly disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to him. A memorial for him can be found on the west side of the Woolen Canal. During the beta testing period, the starting ship was actually the bulk carrier, and you would receive it for free instead of the fishing cutter. The Billionaire Badges photo was actually previously going to be used for the All Ship Skins pack. Ascension Island was an island planned to be added into DSS3, but was never finished. However, a decent amount of work had actually been done on it, including a large airstrip and a radar dome. You can also see that an RNLI base was planned to be on the island. Even the spawn icon for the island had been completed. Before swimming was overhauled in Update 33, you would only be able to jump in water by pressing this button. Before Update 25, the wakes produced by ships looked like this. Some of the morphs in-game have tiny details relating to DSS3 that you may miss if you aren't looking for them. Two examples of these details are that on both of the Royal Navy morphs, DSS Navy can be seen written on them. And on the United Nations officer morphs, the United Nations logo displays DSS3 islands. Patrick Frank Whittle, better known as just Whittle, was the Prime Minister of Vohlynia in the Island Nations roleplay. A few years later, in the roleplay, Whittle announced that he will be retiring from his position as Prime Minister. Shortly after, the person who replaced him as Prime Minister announced that Whittle had been shot and killed by an unknown assailant. A memorial honoring him can be found in Warsaw. However, it has been speculated that his death was actually staged and that he was never killed. Before the coastal cannons on Woolen looked how they do now, they looked like this. For a short period of time around June 2021, this tower at Woolen had a very nice interior. This interior has since been removed. The Arctic research ship's horn is actually an audio clip of someone's homemade horn. Underneath Warsaw, you can find this red box. Before Wind of Fjords was the song that played when you first opened the game, the song Awakening played. Tugging was a feature planned for DSS3, however it was never added due to it not working correctly. Only one photo was ever revealed of tugging, being the one currently on screen. Many of the game passes for DSS3 are actually sold under other games. Waves for DSS3 were actually planned at one point. Obviously, they were never added. With all of that out of the way, that concludes the depth section. I'm now going to move to the final section, the Abyss. A lot of people know about this map on the sailing catamaran, but very few people actually know what the map is of. This map is actually a map of Nautica X, an old game that was developed by CaptainMarcin. Underneath the map, you can find a small box as well as a base plate. Underneath the map, a little southwest from the base plate, you can find the old spawn. When you first join the game, this is where you always get spawned. What most people don't know is that this spawn can actually be found near the center of the map. Some of the stuff even works, such as this board, the question booth, and the credits board. However, the spawn buttons do not work. In July of 2019, word started to get around that a few people had found an underwater cave somewhere in DSS-3. During this time, very few people knew the location of this cave. The cave people were finding out about was the underwater cave located in Puerto Ushuaia. Now, although there is very little proof that this ever existed, I do personally believe that a campfire was once located inside of this cave. I have not found a single photo of this campfire, however, I was able to find 2 conversations discussing how a campfire had once been in the cave, but was removed. What I believe happened is that the cave was supposed to stay relatively unknown for a while, however, once the cave started to get discovered by more and more people, the campfire was quickly removed. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but this campfire has been spawned in DSS-3 a few times. Maybe this is what the campfire looked like. Like I said, there is no super good proof that this campfire ever actually existed, but I do personally believe that it did. With the underwater campfire out of the way, that concludes the Abyss section. And with the Abyss section being complete, that concludes the final part of my Dynamic Ship Simulator 3 Iceberg series. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and thank you all so much for supporting this series. These Iceberg videos have been some of my most favorite videos to work on. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, and my Discord server is linked in the description for those of you who are interested in joining. With that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!